couple of nights ago, I saw the weirdest thing. It was about 1 in the morning, and I wasn't particularly sleepy at all. It couldn't have been a dream because I was nowhere near tired. Hoping to wind down, I went to the family room and turned on the TV. We have a DVD-R box around Verizon, and everyone in the family picks a few shows that they like to record. Of course, with 2.5 bronies in the house, Friendship is Magic was set to record every episode and kept up to around 7 episodes. I scrolled to see the ones that we had recorded and picked the one at the very bottom that was unwatched, Dragonshy. Dragonshy is one of my personal favorites. The teaser, however, was not Dragonshy. Not even close. I'm used to the TV guides saying one episode is airing, but it was actually switched out at the last minute. But this was something else. It wasn't any episode I recognized, and you believe me when I say I watched them all. It wasn't too surreal, though. It was Twilight Sparkle pacing around her bedroom, listing all the things that she had to do that day, return a book, visit Fluttershy, yada yada yada. Then she said, "Spike, are you getting this?" And then it showed Spike's bed. But instead of him, it's a cute little Spike-looking ragdoll with button eyes and a polka dot patch on the side. It looks absolutely adorable. Twilight laughs, and we go into the opening. To further confuse matters, the opening music was the enhanced Season 2 song, but there was no train or anything. It had the video of the Season 1 opening, so much for pacing in the timeline, unless this was a leaked Season 3 episode and they were done pushing the train toys by that point. After the opening, there were commercials. I fast-forwarded through them, but from the looks, they all were normal commercials. Then the show came back up to show Twilight in Sugar Cube Corner, the Spike doll on her back. The title was Half-Baked Sun Cakes. Twilight was pacing back and forth, giving some plot exposition about how they were making special cupcakes for Princess Celestia as a way of thanking her for letting Twilight stay in Ponyville with all of her friends. Pinkie was supposed to be making them, and then Twilight would use her unicorn magic to take some sunshine and put them into the cupcakes, making them sun cakes. Twilight was all alone, but she was talking as though she was talking with her friends. Then she started reacting to something that wasn't happening. From what I could gather, Twilight suddenly realized the cupcakes were missing. She began looking around and asking questions, and it was then that I realized that she was talking directly to her friends who weren't there. She was responding like they were talking to her. It made it hard to follow, and I couldn't really remember much of what she said. But it would have been like this, for example. Twilight says, "Fluttershy, where have you been all day?" And normally Fluttershy would say something like, "Oh, I've been tending to my animals all day." And then Twilight would say, "Oh, well, give Angel my best then." Except here, she would say, "Fluttershy, where have you been all day?" And then pause for 3 beats. Enough time to register a significant pause, but not actually long enough for another pony to say anything meaningful. And then she would say, "Oh, well, give Angel my best then." Twilight moved and acted like there were other ponies on screen, and the fact that the camera was positioned so that other ponies could have been in the frame, but it was just Twilight. Anyway, I think Pinkie Pie started panicking because Twilight kept telling her to calm down, that they would find the cupcakes. Then she pulled a magnifying glass out of a hammer space and began to look for clues. The rest of the first act was her looking for clues, asking the Spike doll to write them down, and questioning other ponies. It would have been an ordinary show, except that Twilight seemed to be the only pony in all of Ponyville, because there was nowhere there to question. She began to get flustered, but the cute kind of flustered like at the end of Look Before You Sleep, not the creepy flustered from Lesson 0. There were plenty of jokes and cute moments, but I was too busy trying to figure out what I was missing, besides every other pony in existence, to retain any specifics. Finally, it was time to go to Canterlot, even though the cakes were still missing. Twilight looked nervous, and she was afraid of what Celestia would say if Twilight arrived empty-handed after promising a surprise. After the commercial, she was already in Canterlot, and Canterlot was abandoned too. She walked up to the castle and around the palace grounds, stopping to introduce her friends to old guards and palace workers she used to know. Again, Twilight was the only pony. Then, when she got to the throne room, her ears drooped. Her tail hung as well. I went, "Aww," and she went inside. She apologized for not bringing the cupcakes, and she promised to try her hardest to find them after they disappeared, and she was sorry that she let Celestia down. I don't know exactly what Celestia was saying to Twilight, but whatever it was, she slowly started to lift her head up. Her eyes brightened and her tail stopped hanging. She looked happy. Then the music changed, like they were starting a musical number. Hot dog! A sneak preview of the new episode and a musical number? It sounded incredibly familiar, and after the first few bars played, I realized it was, no kidding, Sharkbird's Ave Maria. Only, it was arranged by Daniel Ingram. Twilight was singing, and I could swear it was Tara Strong's voice, not Rebecca Schultz. The whole song was accompanied by some of the most beautiful imagery I've ever seen animated in Flash. It panned over valleys covered in wildflowers, up mountains blowing with winds, and a cave blanching smoke, down to ocean waves that, when they were broken on the shore, made a faint rainbow appear. The words were completely different, and all I could remember was what I had jolted down. Ave Maria, brother of the sun, the beauty of our nights, the sunless days, Ave Maria, heaven's bride. When it was over, we faded back to Twilight at Sugar Cube Corner. She was laughing, and I gathered that she had just found the cupcakes. She explained that Mrs. Cake had taken them out of the oven and turned it off. Then Mr. Cake, flustered with all the work and the new twins, thought that they needed to go in. So they had been sitting in the oven the whole time. Twilight laughed, saying that it was a good thing the oven wasn't hot. It looked like a gas range, and she flicked the switch just so in the stove, and it didn't light, but she acted like it did. Then came the letter. Dear Princess Celestia, something, something, good friends help you, because when more people help you, everyone's share of the work adds up to less than it would have been done alone. And a good friend understands that things don't always go the way you expect. And this struck me as sweet that she was calling Princess Celestia a friend. Did you get all that, Spike? She then asks a Spike doll. It sort of flops off of her back and she laughs. Then the creepiest goddamn thing happens. She stops, and her face has this look of complete and utter heartbreak. It's like when Pinkie Pie thought that her friends didn't want to come to her party. It was like your face, the first time you finished My Little Dashie. She sits down, a look of despair and ultimate sadness in her eyes, now watering. Sad stock music played in the background. The camera pulls back, showing her sitting in an empty Sugar Cube corner. And then it fades to the outside, still pulling back to show all the empty Ponyville, into the clouds. Then, My Little Pony. The credits started and startled the crap right out of me. There was an ad for Pound Puppies, some commercials, and a few minutes of family game night. Then the recording was over. I was confused and weirded out that I didn't even want to think about it. I just wound up flipping channels until I found Will or Grace or something. Something that I know is behaving like it's supposed to. And watched that channel until I wind up falling asleep on the couch. The next morning when I wake up, I go to the DVR and try to watch the episode again, only to realize with a sinking stomach that I'd forgot to mark it as save until I delete. And this morning's showing the cutie pox had pushed it off to the DVR. It was gone. Well, no worries, right? The Brony community is notorious for catching every single episode and going over them with a fine-tooth comb. I'm sure since the episode aired, plenty of other people would have uploaded it to YouTube, discussing it ad nausea, and having come to a conclusion that it made a lot more sense than what I thought it saw. But I found nothing. The Google search for this episode's title turned up nothing relevant. No one marked it on Wikipedia as being an unconfirmed title of an upcoming episode. No mention of it on Equestria Daily, no screen caps of My Little Brony, no spin-off of any over-analysis fanfic on fanfiction.net, no conversations of any kind of detail on any forum whatsoever. It's like nobody else saw this episode. All I have are the Ave Maria notes. Someone has to know what I'm talking about. Has anybody seen this episode? Somebody has to have seen it. Does it sound familiar to anyone? Seriously, I'm getting weirded out over here. Why was Twilight the last pony left in Equestria? And that, my little shadows, was Half-Baked Sun Cakes, a My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Lost episode creepypasta. My final thoughts on the story? Definitely a major improvement and a really interesting concept when it comes to a lost episode creepypasta. Now, before I actually get into the review, I do want to make a mention of something relatively quickly, a little bit of an announcement, so to speak. And this is completely unrelated to the story, but I think it's extremely important that I say this. I do want to apologize for the huge mess that was the Blues Clues Lost episode creepypasta that I made. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a creepypasta. I consider it more of a crappy pasta. I more or less rushed myself when it came to actually writing the story because I knew I hadn't written something and I kind of wanted to go outside of my comfort zone a little bit. Unfortunately, though, I did not do a particularly good job with it. It had shock value in it, and it kind of more or less contradicted the kind of things that I normally put on you guys and, on myself at times. I mean, but then again, I'm not going crazily hard on myself because, regardless of whether or not if you're a great writer or not that great of a writer, you're bound to have a couple of flops every so often. So there is that. But of course, I do want to say that that's going to be the only time you're ever going to see that. I will personally make sure of it to better myself more and more with these stories and really put a lot of time and effort into it. If I can't get it done today, then that's fine. I'll work on it tomorrow or something. So I just thought I'd sit there and kind of let you guys know that. And if anybody who was upset or offended or anything from that story, I do apologize in retrospect for that. That was not my intention. But yeah, that story was not very good, and I am not particularly happy with it. I do not like it. I am not a fan of it. I will not delete it, though, because I want to use that as an example, more or less. At least for me personally. If you guys want to use it in that manner, in that way, that's fine. So, with that little announcement out of the way, what are my final thoughts on half-baked sun cakes? A great creepypasta, to be completely honest with all of you. I loved a lot of things within the story itself. For one, I love the fact that, it started off relatively kind of believable. The whole DVR aspect, which is something I haven't really seen too often. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I've seen it like maybe in one or two Lost episode creepypastas in the past, which is fine, to be honest. But, the whole thing more or less about, that being the... Sorry, I'm kind of a little bit out of it today. Where was I at? Oh, yeah. But the whole thing with the DVR and everything is, in a sense, believable. I mean, people record their stuff on DVR a lot. I mean, I used to a lot. But with the actual episode itself, I actually found this to be not only mysterious, but believable to an extent. Now, it really makes you wonder what in the world happened to sit there and have to sit there and deal with how do I put this? Basically, I don't really know. I don't know what to really say, to be honest. I mean, this whole thing with Twilight and everything going off and making a thing of sun cakes for the princess is a really nice gesture, I might add. And this entire thing seems exactly like a regular My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode. I mean, I've watched plenty of episodes to know that, and it's relatively simple. It's a good concept. It's very good. It's very well done. It's very well made. But the whole thing with all the ponies being gone and everything, like, what in the world happened? Was this some kind of rapture kind of thing? I don't really know, to say the least. It's kind of a difficult topic, more or less. But despite that, it's still a very well-made creepypasta. The grammar is beautifully well done. The concept is interesting. The storyline is awesome. Everything about this storyline just really fits well with the story. I liked it a lot. I genuinely did. And I love the fact that there was really nothing completely out of character with the actual episode itself. And the ending, the reason why the episode was not ever shown or could not be recorded or anything, is also very believable. Anybody who's had to have DVRs in the past knows that many of them have, how do I put this? Many of them more or less have, they have limits. So the idea of a DVR like this, removing the episode or something for another one is not anything that's completely out of the ordinary. It's quite common with many DVRs out there in the world. Man, I'm old. If I consider and remember DVRs so well, I could... Oh my gosh. But yeah, like I always say, this is simply, my own personal opinion. And if you disagree with it, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions. Hey guys, these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story would have to be a. Okay. Let me think here. Final rating of the story 10 out of 10. Very good creepypasta, very good concept, very interesting to say the least. I liked it a lot. I genuinely did. But what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys not? Also, what would you have personally done to help make the story a lot better? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. I'm the Shadow Reader. Thanks again for watching today's episode, and if you're brand new here to this channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. And of course, like always, roll the outro because I'm out. In fear and surprise as your eyes widen, your mouth goes dry with each battered breath. You try to scream, your mind begs to leave, glued to your computer screen. The killers they slash, the tapes burn and crash. The cartridge you bought will be your final haunt. The rituals of hate will seal your fate. The tears you shed will be from the fear-gripping horde, nightmarish gore-filled, terrorizing, hateful, burning, violent, rage-inducing, knife-slashing, blood-splattering, silent screams. Only time will tell if you will escape this online hell. Your horror-filled obsessions will come with its own regressions. Your pathetic screams will not be heeded in any way, because your nightmares will come at any day.